Welcome to Basic Skills. Today we're going to be talking about planting garlic. So the first thing is picking out your seed. You want to have the biggest, healthiest cloves you can. So you want your bulb that you start off with to have at least 5 cloves in it. And then if you can't get ones with 5 cloves or more, you just go with the biggest ones that you possibly can get a hold of and plant those. So when you're getting ready to plant, you've got all your seed picked out. Right before you plant, you want to do this fairly close to when you plant. You don't want to leave them separate for too long. But you've got your clove and you got to break the bulb apart. What I like to do is just stick my thumbnail through the paper layer there, and then you can grab onto the stem and just crack it in half. And then you got all your cloves separate to plant, and away you go from there. As you peel them apart, you want to make sure you leave as much of that thick protective layer around the cloves as possible. Sometimes it'll come off and you can't really help it, but you want to have that on there just to protect the seed from any slugs or anything that decide to try and get a snack. Another thing we have to think about is where we're planting our garlic. Garlic doesn't like having wet feet, so you want it to have good drainage but enough water for the garlic to be able to grow well. And so what I like to do is make a row, just like till up the ground to a certain extent, and then put down like 3 to 4 inches of fresh, well done compost, and then I'll put another 3 or 4 inches of wood chips on top of that, and I'll plant my garlic right through the wood chips into the compost. The great thing about garlic is that the cloves are so big that as the seed grows, it's got a ton of energy to use in its growth. So it'll come up through just about any layer of compost that you can put on there. So you don't really have to worry too much about planting garlic too deep. It comes up super well through just about anything. The basic concept with garlic planting for when is you want to plant it when it's cold enough to stimulate the garlic seed to start taking root, but warm enough that the roots have time to grow before winter sets in. So when you're getting consistent frost at night but the ground is not yet frozen, so it's warming up in the day still, is about when you need to start planting your garlic. Another thing to keep in mind, especially with the hardneck varieties, is you want to make sure you have, when you plant it, you have the pointy side up and the root side down. If you plant it upside down or sideways, then your bulb will end up being a little bit warped, because as the stem comes up out of the pointy side, it wants to reach for the light. So if it's upside down, it's going to reach around the clove, and it's just going to end up with a awkward looking bulb at the end of the summer. So you got your ground all prepared, you got your seed all separated out. It should be pretty easy to just stick your hand right into the dirt because you just put it down. And so you want to go through your layer of mulch, whatever you did for that, hay or wood chips, and in a couple inches into your layer of compost. And you want to make sure your plants are 6 to 8 inches apart so that they have enough room for the bulb to grow and everything to get nutrients properly, and so that they're not too cramped up top, so that they all grow nicely. And then you just start putting them in. It's pretty quick once you get going. Stick your hand in, put the seed in, away you go. The last step in planting, of course, is covering your seed back up. So I generally wait till after I plant a section to do that, just so that I don't get lost on where I am and I make sure I have the spacing right. And then you just come back along and just push everything back into the hole real nicely to make sure that everything, so they're all covered up and ready to grow.